Lockdowns are designed for one purpose, to keep danger out. But no one ever talks about what happens when the danger is already inside. It was the last period on a Friday, and the classroom was filled with that slow, restless energy of students waiting for the final bell. Then suddenly, the alarm went off. Not the usual bell, not a drill announcement, just a loud, violent siren that instantly made everyone freeze. Our teacher rushed to lock the door, turned off the lights, and pulled the curtains shut so quickly it felt like she had done this before. The room dropped into complete darkness, and no one said a word. Then we heard it, footsteps in the hallway. Slow, uneven, dragging across the floor like someone was struggling to walk. They weren't rushing, they weren't searching, they were wandering. The footsteps stopped right outside our door, and every single person in the room held their breath. Then came a sound that made everything worse, scratching. Not knocking, not trying to get in, but scratching, like fingernails slowly dragging across the wood. Minutes passed in suffocating silence until suddenly a loud metallic bang echoed down the hallway. A locker had slammed shut. Then another. And another. Each one closer than the last. It wasn't random, it was moving. Locker 312, bang. Locker 313, bang. Locker 314, bang. A boy in the back whispered in fear, 315, that's mine. The entire class slowly turned toward the back wall, because right behind it was locker 315. And then it happened. A violent impact slammed from inside the wall, shaking the desks and sending a wave of panic through the room. The teacher whispered for everyone to stay quiet, but then we heard something that no one could explain, a voice. Not from the hallway, not from the door, but from inside the wall. A whisper, low and close, open it. The boy shook his head, trembling, tears in his eyes. The voice came again, louder this time, open it. Something shifted inside the wall, metal scraping, something moving, something breathing. Then suddenly, a scream exploded from behind us, open it. The sound was so loud it made the lights flicker, and then everything went completely silent. The lockdown lasted nearly 2 hours. When police finally searched the building, they found nothing, no intruder, no damage, nothing at all. Except for one thing. Locker 315 was open, from the inside. And the metal door was covered in deep scratch marks, like something had been trying to get out. In a lockdown, every single student must be accounted for, because if even one person is missing, something is wrong. But what if there's one extra? The lockdown was announced during third period, and immediately the mood changed. The alarm sounded different this time, longer, more urgent, more real. Our teacher locked the door, turned off the lights, and told everyone to stay completely silent. You could feel it in the air, this wasn't a drill. After a few minutes, she began taking attendance in a low whisper, carefully calling each name. One by one, students responded softly, trying not to make noise. Everything seemed normal at first, until she suddenly stopped. The silence stretched longer than it should have. Then she started counting again, faster this time. Her breathing changed. Someone finally asked what was wrong, and she hesitated before quietly saying, "There are 26 students here." At first, it didn't seem serious, until she added, "There should only be 25. The room went completely still. Everyone looked around, trying to spot someone unfamiliar, but every face looked normal, every person looked like they belonged. Trying to stay calm, the teacher asked each of us to say our names one by one. We did. 25 names. Exactly 25. No more, no less. But when she counted again, her hand started shaking. "There are still 26, she whispered. A cold wave of fear spread through the room. Someone asked, "Then who didn't say their name?" No one answered. The silence became unbearable. Then a chair creaked slowly in the back of the room. The teacher pointed into the darkness and said, "You, stand up." A figure rose slowly, almost unnaturally slow, like it wasn't in a hurry. Everyone stared. Something felt wrong, even though nothing looked wrong. The teacher told him to say his name. The boy smiled, but it wasn't a normal smile, it stretched too wide, too still. "I already did," he said. The teacher shook her head and whispered, "No, you didn't." The boy tilted his head slightly and replied, "You heard me, you just didn't understand me." The word sent a chill through the entire room, as if something had shifted. Then suddenly, the alarm stopped. The lockdown was over. Police entered and everything felt normal again, until they counted us. There were only 25 students. The boy was gone. No one saw him leave, and no cameras showed him entering. But everyone in that room remembers one terrifying detail: when the lights were off, there were 26 shadows on the wall, and one of them didn't move like the others. Every school lockdown comes with rules: stay quiet, stay hidden, and never open the door. But there's one rule no one ever tells you: don't look outside. This lockdown began just minutes before dismissal, when everyone was distracted and ready to go home. The alarms suddenly went off, loud and aggressive, instantly changing the atmosphere. Teachers rushed into action, doors were locked, lights were turned off, and within seconds our classroom was swallowed by darkness. Our teacher whispered for everyone to get down and stay away from the windows. At first, everyone listened. Fear was fresh, and no one wanted to take a risk. But as time passed, that fear slowly turned into curiosity. After about 20 minutes, one student quietly crawled toward the window and carefully lifted himself just enough to look outside. Then he froze. Completely still. Someone whispered, asking what he could see, but he didn't respond. He just kept staring. The teacher warned him to move away, but he didn't even blink. Finally, in a low, shaken voice, he said, "There's someone outside." The room went cold. Someone asked if it was a teacher or a police officer, but he slowly shook his head. "No, they're just standing there." There was a pause before someone asked, "Who?" and his answer made everything worse: "They're smiling." A deep sense of dread spread through the room as the teacher carefully moved toward the window to check. But before she could reach it, a soft sound broke the silence: tap. Everyone froze. Then again, tap, tap, tap. The sound was coming from the glass, slow and deliberate, like someone was tapping from the outside. But there was one terrifying problem: the classroom was on the second floor. The tapping continued, steady and controlled, as if whatever was out there knew exactly what it was doing. The teacher finally stood up and looked outside, and the moment she did, her face lost all color. She immediately shut the curtains and whispered, "No one look outside." But it was already too late. Several students had already seen it, and each one reacted the same way: complete silence, frozen expressions, pure fear. The lockdown lasted 3 long hours, and when it finally ended, police searched the entire area. There was no one outside. No footprints, no signs, nothing at all. But later that night, multiple students reported waking up to the same sound: tap, 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 coming from their bedroom windows. And when they looked, they saw it. Standing there. Smiling. Waiting. As if it had followed them home, and never left.